dude. Force Ghost, keeping a roof over my head for real. Thank you very much, dude, for the 50, bro. Thank you very much, dude.
Love you, brother.
Yeah, the big supporter of the channel, man. Big THC Force Ghost, man.
Great info, guys, supporting the community and ifs in chat for Duck, and what a great run we read heart.
I think I found it.
You man.
Let's see here. I think I found it. Okay. Stand by.
The tier set?
Yeah, just pulling up the raid sets right now, so we can.
Yeah,
take
Warlock tiers are.
Give the one with the crazy headpiece, though.
What's it, tier 4? You mean? With the Void Walker looking headset?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, where is it? Hold up, a little bit slow here. Okay. All right, we have it up. Scroll over to the right.
Oh yeah.
Okay, second.
What do you guys think? Al, vote yours for tier 4, 5, or 6. Which ones? What are your favorite?
For Warlock, definitely tier 6.
I think everyone's gonna say that, isn't it?
I mean,
if you see it in action.
I like tier 5 best. Actually,
do you remember the wings though?
Yeah, I know the wings. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I never really liked the headpiece, honestly.
All right, here it is. I don't know.
Especially on gnomes, I hate that headpiece on a.
But you hate gnomes, so.
Yeah, it's just so big on their stupid little heads.
Well, they all are definitely very distinct from everything else, which I like.
I might like 4. I feel like tier 4 screams like Affliction Warlock.
But the headpiece is kind of
like
bothers me.
Tier 4 screams Affliction. Tier 5 screams like Demo, and tier 6 screams like Demonology.
So the ones we're talking about, guys, is the one second over to the right. If you see the one farthest to the right is Warrior, right? These are the iconic Warrior sets. The one just to the left of the Warrior is the Warlock. As you can see, they put a lot of time and energy. Every set feels very inspired. Even that first set at the very top, you can't see because it's a still image, but it almost has like a moving face. Like particle effects or something when you see one in game. Yeah, I think it looks really cool. You know, the big shoulder pads. That's one thing that always made me like Warlocks when I looked at them, is they didn't, even though they were a caster, they didn't look like some soy boy. Like, they look actually pretty strong. Like, they have nice big shoulders and like, just, I don't know, the cool looking armor sets. Like, they didn't look flimsy. Like, and that was one thing. They're a caster, but they're tanky, so it really like attracts me to the Warlock class in that respect. And now I'm looking at the bottom. It looks a little bit Power Rangery right now. I think it's because it's on a human, but that bottom set is very flashy. Big ass wings come out of the back of it. I don't think it does anything though, right? It's just cosmetic, but it just looks super cool. So I think that's it for Warlock. Sorry, it took me a minute to bring that up. What else? Is there anything else I should cover on Warlock? PvP, PvE, leveling, very strong.
Yeah, I think we covered it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems good.
All right. So we're doing. Let's see here. Priest was the next one after. We'll do Priest and then Warrior after. Hopefully we can get through all that. So
I think Hunter was in top 3 as well.
Yeah, I just want to get at least Priest and Warrior just because we have the subject matter experts here. So we're going. Okay, so let's warm the people up to Priest, F-Camp. Like, what should they know about Priest going into TBC?
Well, I'll talk about how first, like, why Priest spoke to me. So I was playing my Rogue. Playing my Rogue most of vanilla, and seeing a Priest a lot. I was like, kind of want to try healing. I really love Shadow as well, and I started making my Priest towards the end of vanilla. And luckily, when TBC came out, and I completely fell in love with this class. So one of the main things that you'll see from vanilla to TBC is Shadow becomes a lot more represented. I feel like Shadow is in a much better place in TBC than it was in vanilla, right? So let's talk about Shadow first, because that was my first experience going Shadow, an amazing leveling spec in vanilla, and an amazing leveling in TBC as well. So obviously you still have Spirit Tap. You get 100% Spirit regeneration after killing a mob, which just never basically have to drink. You get an amazing, you get Fear, you get Silence. But one of the really cool things, being a Shadow Priest is, for instance, you get, Vampiric Air Brace, which gives you healing back. One of the biggest things about Shadow Priest in TBC is you get another dot called Vampiric Touch, right? So what it does I'll just read the tooltip. Causes 450 shadow damage over 15 seconds to your target, and causes all party members to gain mana equal to 5% of any shadow spell damage you deal, right? So all the shadow damage you deal, whether it's from Mind Flay, Mind Blast, Shadow Word Death, which is another thing you get, Shadow Word Pain, all that damage you're doing is getting 5% mana to everyone in your group. So imagine having a Shadow Priest with Vampiric Touch, you have a Shaman, say, with Mana Spring Totem, and say you have Paladins now as well with Blessing of Wisdom. That's so much mana you can get back, at one time, and you can go much longer in fights. Shadow Priests are very much wanted for this reason. Now,
so can I ask? I think I remember that your wand, if it's a shadow wand, that works as well. Is that right?
So it does not do. It does not do that, as far as I remember. It does, however, benefit from shadow weaving. So if you have shadow weaving up on the target, it will give you the extra damage from that. But so a shadow wand doesn't work back from Vampiric Embrace or Vampiric Touch, as far as I remember. But yeah, Vampiric Embrace as well. So that would be the healing. So another big thing about Shadow Priest is like a reason why they're brought to raids a big time is because they increase the shadow damage over Warlocks. Now remember, Warlocks do a shit ton of damage in BC, right? So you're getting 10% of your spell damage increased with with Shadow Weaving, right? So your shadow damage spell have a 100% chance to cause your target to be vulnerable to shadow damage. This vulnerability increases the shadow damage you deal by 2%, less 15 seconds stacks 5 times, so it's 10% right there, right? But in TBC, Shadow Priest gets something called Misery. So your Shadow Word Pain, Mind Flay, and spells also cause a target to take additional 5% spell damage. So on top of the 10% you get from Shadow Weaving, all casters now, no matter if you're a mage, a warlock, a boomkin, will benefit from that 5% spell damage. So, elemental shamans, mages, warlocks, everyone gets a flat, which is basically like a Nightfall proc, right? A flat 5% spell damage bonus right there from Shadow Priest, on top of the extra 10% from Shadow Weaving. So very good in helping your group, right? Like, they're just so beneficial to have in a group. Some different spells you get. So Shadow Word Death is such a fucking awesome spell. Shadow Word Death is basically like an execute for priests. You use it, and if it kills a target, it does not do damage to you. However, if it does not kill the target, it does damage to you. I think it's 50%, something like that, of the damage. Something really cool. So every priest gets this, no matter if you're Shadow, Discipline, right? It's
you get the full damage, actually. Looking at it right up. I actually finally have the database. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So, but the really cool thing about this is if you're dueling a mage or fighting a mage in arena or PvP, you can basically Shadow Word Death the mage at the very last second when he's about to polymorph you, and you can basically take that damage right after he polymorphs you, so that you can do it and to get out of polymorph. It's actually not that hard a time if you do it right towards the end of a cast. It's something really, really fucking cool to do. You basically can get out of polymorph whenever that's up. So it's really
super high
cool.
skill.
Yeah,
you can do it in any CC if you time it right.
Any CC if you time it right, exactly. Any CC that would Repentance, right? Even though Repentance is an instant cast, it's pretty hard to do, but it's really, really cool, an amazing thing to do. So
it's also one of those things too that like one of the things the priests are missing in classic WoW. It's one of those things where we were talking about before. Blizzard is rounding out the classes and specs a little bit more. That they're missing an instant damage type of thing like this, right? So giving them depth just fills in the gap there a little bit like that.
And it's whether you're in arena, right? I'm going to say in arena, whether you're Discipline or Shadow, you're going to be using Shadow Word Death a lot, just because it's an instant cast damage. It puts some, if you have Prayer of Mending on yourself and you use that, the Mending will jump to another target. So it's a way to get Mending to jump to someone as well, if you're thinking about it like that. It's also just a good amount of damage to just keep pressure a lot, because even as a priest, you're going to be damaging. Especially if you're in a 2v2, you're going to have to push and do some damage sometimes.
Speaking of mending, that is that's a really flashy.
Prayer of Mending is one of my favorite things.
The noise too, right? It's like a little gong noise or something. Yeah.
So sticking to Shadow, like in PvP, Shadow is amazing. In twos, you can do a lot of. There's still probably one of the best classes 1v1 in the Burning Crusade as well, just because you have the healing, right? The healing back. So Vampiric Embrace, and if you're putting 2 points extra in there, you get 30%. Base 20%. I'm sorry, base in TBC is 15% of your shadow damage spells. But if you put 2 points in it, you get additional 10, which will give you 25%. And I'm telling you guys, like, if a priest, when you watch a priest stay alive in vanilla, it's mostly because of Vampiric Embrace. The amount of healing you can get from it. So in vanilla, it is 20%. So they get actually a little bit of a nerf to it in TBC. You lose 5%. So it might be worth putting in those extra 2 points, but the amount of healing you get from it is just insane. You also get Shadow Fiend, right? This is like so nice. Yeah, it's basically
pet
a
class
pet.
pet class confirmed.
Yeah, right. It's basically a little shadow pet that whenever it hits the target, it gives you mana back. And I'm trying to remember the exact amount of mana. I'm going to see if I can pull it up right here. Shadow Fiend.
Is the damage negligible? Is it like a meme?
The damage is no, it is not negligible. It's almost like dot.
That's pretty sick, dude. So the
if
damage
you're
is
really trying to pump on someone as an undead priest, you can go Vampiric Touch, Shadow Word Pain, Devouring Plague, Shadow Fiend, and only undead have Plague. However, all priests now have Fear Ward, even though it's been kind of nerfed a little bit. But all priests now have Fear Ward. However, there are other abilities like Chastise, for instance, is something that Dwarf gets, which is really cool. It actually and Draenei, it roots the target in place, basically making them not able to move.
Did you know about this one, El? No, barely anybody knows
Chastise,
about this shit.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's one thing that you should mention is that all the priest racials get kind of readjusted during TBC.
Yes.
So every priest gets Fear Ward, and due to that, dwarfs actually get chastised because
Andrew and I always got shout them out.
Yeah, and they also still have
each priest class or each priest race gets 2 different, well, some of them are the same racial abilities, which is really cool.
Yeah, and they also have the self heal, which is just
Desperate Prayer.
Desperate Prayer, which is really really nice, for healing, and even as a shadow priest. But shadow is just absolutely insanely powerful in TBC. It's amazing in PvE. It's amazing in PvP. Your Shadow Fiend, all your different flavorful abilities. If I were not so in love with Holy, I would probably go Shadow, just because I really feel like they gave it a bit of an extra umph. You can do a lot more damage in the Burning Crusade than you would have in your mana regeneration is a lot better, especially with having Vampiric Touch. But Holy, so.
Well, one thing on Shadow, real quick, I wanted to point out is that in Classic, Vampiric Embrace, or whatever, it heals people in a party based on the damage you do, shadow damage you do, right? All I'm saying is in TBC, the amount of mana, I think it's mana you get back or something, like, is directly related to the amount of damage you do as well.
Vampiric Touch. So it's 5%. It's 5% mana equal to your shadow spell. So the more shadow damage you're doing, the more mana you're getting.
So you're probably going to gear really fast as a shadow priest, because if you're trying to like loot council or whatever and allocate gear so it makes the most impact, gearing your shadow priest out helps the raid a lot. Like there's a direct incentive to gear them out, because the more damage they're doing, the more mana everyone's getting, the more healing everyone's getting, and then so and
5% might not sound like a lot, but you got to think about it. If you're doing your Mind Blast is hitting for thousands of damage, and your all your dots, the mana really starts to add up over time, especially when you got to think now you have Blessing of Wisdom, you have Mana Spring Totem. All these things added up is a lot of mana coming back, and it's really 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 beneficial to the raid. Really nice. I love a nice Shadow Priest in raid. And they can do a pretty decent amount of damage. I remember I spec Shadow and Zolaman, and I was doing ZA, and I was like the top DPS in that group. The other DPS weren't that great, but
from what I remember, I thought Shadow was like one of the lower DPS classes, little bit like Boomkin, like we discussed.
So here's the thing:
right?
it's definitely on the lower end, but the lower end has been pushed up a lot more.
Yeah,
in
definitely,
BC,
definitely.
You know what I mean?
It's nothing like vanilla, but it's more like a mana battery. It helps everyone else, just like Boomkin buffs the group in the raid. Shadow Priest does
However,
the same thing.
There are some times where you might see a Shadow Priest doing. I mean, they do not as bad as it was in vanilla. So
yeah, and there's some cool raid builds as well built around them. Like you can actually run multiple arcane mages with Shadow Priests that will really buff their damage because they're so mana hungry. There's certain things like that where there's times that like having a Shadow Priest with other certain specs will greatly increase the damage that your overall raid does.
Oh, and remember, they're not just giving your group mana back; they're giving every caster in the raid.
No, it's
5%.
raid. Is it raid? I thought it was party.
No,
Yeah, it's a debuff on the boss.
Right.
Misery. I'm talking about misery. Misery and Shadow Weaving are debuffs on the boss, right?
Yeah.
So Shadow Weaving is, like I said, it goes up to 10%.
The Vampiric Touch is just party though, right?
Yeah, Vampiric Touch and Ember is just party. However, the debuffs they put on their boss is Shadow Weaving and Misery. Misery is a flat 5% spell damage to every class, no matter if you're a mage or anything, right? It's 5% spell damage. And then on top of that, they also give 10% shadow damage with Shadow Weaving.
Well, and Shadow Weaving in vanilla is 15% though, isn't it? So
stacks 5 times 10%. Hold on.
Oh, is it 10% in vanilla too? Someone will know.
No, it's 3% every.
Yeah, so it's 15 in vanilla.
It's 15,
so they did kind of nerf it a little bit, but you still get it through misery anyway, though. Yeah. So you get the same amount.
So it's better for basically like other classes. You know what I mean? Yeah. So warlocks still get the same. They still get 15%, but all the classes get 5 as well. So
makes sense, yeah.
When you add it up, right? So okay, let's go to Holy real quick. So this real quick, Holy Priest in TBC is by far my favorite spec in all of WoW.
Really?
I absolutely love it. I love the way it plays. I love the healing. I love everything about it.
Favorite talent in the Holy Tree? Is it Circle of Healing?
Circle of Healing, dude.
Circle of Healing,
absolutely. It played Holy Tree. BBC too.
Oh, did you do it? Oh yeah, you said that, huh? Yeah.
So I'm gonna just run through like my spec real quick. So if you want to pull up the talent as well on stream, we
got talents up.
Okay. So what I do, and now remember, so healing focus is great, but remember we will have paladins in our raid, so you're gonna get concentration aura. So healing focus isn't as important as it usually was before, because now we have paladins with concentration aura, which will help with the pushback as well. So you could go ahead if you want to and put your first 3 points in improved renew. I'm just going to do this for like a say a raid for.
Show us your favorite spec in the history of WoW.
Yeah, this will be my favorite. So we put 3 in improved renew, 5 in holy specialization,
all right,
5 in divine fury, which reduces the casting time of your smite, holy fire, and clear heal spells by 0.5 seconds.
Hell yeah.
1 point in holy nova, just because why not?
Oh yeah, why the hell not? Awesome spell.
3 points in inspiration increases your target's armor by 25% after getting a heal. That's why it synergizes very.
Was that in classic? I thought this was a shaman thing in classic. Oh, it was okay.
Shamans and priests are the only ones who give the 25% buff.
Gotcha.
So then you're going to put 3 points in improved healing. You are going to put 1 point in Spirit Redemption, and here's why. Spirit Redemption no longer just gives you Spirit Redemption. In TBC, it also gives you 5% base, 5% Spirit. So I just had the vanilla.
That's awesome, man! I didn't even know that. So there's a passive benefit.
If you read it, yes, you get increases total Spirit by 5%, and upon death becomes a Spirit of Redemption for 15 seconds. So you're getting that 5% Spirit, which also synergizes great with the next thing we're going to go is 5 points in Spiritual Guidance, which increases spell damage and healing by up to 25% of your total Spirit. Then we're going to put 5 points in Spiritual Healing, which gives you a flat 10% increased healing to all your healing spells by 10%. Now, this is one of my favorite things.
You're getting Lightwell? You're getting Lightwell, aren't you?
No, we are not getting Lightwell. We are going right left of Lightwell. Holy for this, Cargos.
What's that?
You have a clear casting now as a Holy Priest. You have a 6% chance to enter a clear casting state after casting any Flash Heal, Binding Heal, or Greater Heal spell the clear casting state reduces the
like
mana cost of
Pallies.
your next flash heal, binding heal, or greater heal by 100%. So yeah, Pallies have illumination, but technically, priests are the only healers that have a clear casting proc like this. They, other classes have other ways of doing it, like paladins like have illumination. But getting that clear casting proc on a holy priest is one of the most amazing things. Clear casting now you can use a max rank greater heal if you want to. It's just
wait. Here's one question though for the chat too and everything. They did nerf downranking a lot though in TBC, which is something that I'm honestly not a fan of. I think I actually like downranking. A lot of people hate it.
Here's what you do as a priest, pretty much in BC.
Okay.
You use rank 1 greater heal and max rank greater heal. There's really no need to go in between there. Rank 1 still has a lot of HPME. It's a low mana cost with high yield, especially when you get
still downrank
you still downrank with greater heal. Yes, because especially once you're over about 1,000 healing power, which is pretty easy to do in TBC. That rank 1 greater heal is still very, very, very mana efficient and has pretty high HPME. So you still use a rank 1 greater heal, use a max rank greater heal sometimes, very rarely. Rank 1 greater heal is actually your biggest go-to heal in TBC as a priest, because now we're going to put 1 point in Holy Reach. It's going back up there, and I'll show you why.
Real quick, why no Lightwell though? Is Lightwell really that bad?
So here's the thing about Lightwell.
Because you can just put it before the fight.
Clicks it.
Oh, okay.
No one fucking clicks Lightwell. Okay. You could put that 1 point in there. I think it's way more beneficial to get an extra 10% reach on your Holy Nova, Circle of Healing, and Prayer of Healing, especially now that you're going to be using a lot of your Holy Nova. I'm sorry, not of your Holy Nova, of your Circle of Healing and Prayer of Healing, because you have these beautiful AoE heals that you can now go outside of your party. You're not limited to your party anymore. Like you were in vanilla, you can Circle of Heal like outside your party. It doesn't have to be, in your party. So it's much better to have that little bit of extra range. I would put that 1 point in Holy Reach. Lightwell, let's read it, right? Creates a Holy Light member as a play while restoring 801 health over 6 seconds. It's another hot, basically. Any damage will cancel the effect.
Oh, yikes. Yeah, there's some limitations to this, yeah.
Yes.
And only 5 charges too. Only 5 charges on it.
It is absolute dog shit. Okay.
It was wasn't it pretty good on what was it? Not Cruel's Mecteridon, I think.
I honestly never used it. Never. I think I used it once. I
would almost get that shit for the RP value, dude. It's too cool. You get to make a little holy well wherever you go.
I mean, at the end of the day,
mana efficient though.
It is, but remember, any damage taken.
Mm-hmm. I think it was Mecteridon, but I might be wrong. But I think there was a boss where you had to go out of combat for like a few seconds.
Yeah, I mean, you're honestly better off putting a renew on someone. Like, why not just? Yeah, it's mana efficient. No one clicks the light.
It's also GCD efficient, right? But I remember the big issue with Lightwell. I think it was kind of the design of the spell as well. Is that either nobody clicked on it, or one person clicked on it 5 times and then did all the charges because it puts a hot on you, right? And so you don't really notice. There isn't. I don't remember there being like a really great sound effect.
No, it's like it's kind of like it's very
like unknowing. So people would often like double click, triple click, or just click until it was gone. And just eat all the charges, and it was just a huge...
What if you were a priest and you said, no one touched my light well, and before the fight starts, you throw it down right next to you, it lasts 3 minutes, so it'll be there for the whole fight, and anytime that it makes sense where you can get 6 seconds value of the hot, like where you just don't have to worry about your own health.
I honestly think you're going to get more value out of that 1 point with Holy Reach than you...
With Holy Reach? Okay.
Just because, in my opinion, in my experience, I've healed a lot in BC, I did every raid. Having that one little point in Holy Reach that's going to give you is going to be way more beneficial than fucking Lightwell. I'm telling you guys, no one clicks on it.
Gotcha.
It's a fucking meme.
It's a fucking meme.
Hey man, make Lightwell great again.
Make Lightwell great
again. I would love to.
There's got to be some weird niche application that's worth 1 point. It's the RP value is too strong, bro. You got to take it.
Listen, Cargos, if you want to
take
it
for ethical purposes, bro. For ethical purposes,
take the one out of Holy Reach if you want to.
What about the boss in Black Temple that casts Blood Boil? Do you remember his name?
You think of the Death Knight dude?
No, he's the guy at the bottom. He's the giant red orc guy.
what's his name?
Gertha.
Yeah, I forget his name. Yeah, it's still not. He
does huge AoE damage. I remember Circle of Healing Priests were amazing on that fight.
It's so good. That's what I'm saying though. Like, so that little bit of extra reach for that 1 point of holy reach of Circle of Healing is actually important when you're healing melee and people are in other groups. You want to make sure you might get that little bit of extra range. That one extra heal that you're getting from holy reach, possibly I think is more impactful than having light well. So.
The cool thing from the outside looking in, Def Camp, at Circle of Healing, it's sick though. It kind of makes you feel like a shaman a little bit with Circle of Healing. Like, dude, you get this AoE kind of like chain.
It's amazing.
Yeah, you love it.
Let's do first. We're gonna do 5 points in empowered healing, right?
Okay, yeah, got that.
So this is really good. So your greater heal spell gains an additional 20. This is why rank 1 greater heal is still so good, right? Because not only do you get 10% from spiritual healing and you get spiritual guidance, but now your greater heal is getting additional, and your flash, but your greater heal is getting a 20% additional healing, while flash heal and binding heal are getting 10%. Now, let me talk about binding heal for a second. Binding heal is a fucking slept on heal. It's
I don't even remember that one, bro. Where's the try?
Binding heal heals your target and yourself. Okay, in PvP, binding heal is so fucking good. In PvP2.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah, go ahead and read
I
it.
Honestly feel like, be honest, who remembered about this ability, guys?
I fucking love it, dude. I think binding heal is a very slept on heal.
Let's see here.
So
1.5
second really
cast. Cool. Sorry.
Yep.
Good.
Read the mana cost as well.
705 mana, so that's pretty.
Right.
Pretty
so it's a little bit more than a flash heal. Like max rank, but you're healing 2 people, right? Yourself and the person that you're targeting. So in PvP, where maybe you and this person are getting hit, and you're like, "Oh shit, I gotta heal him or me." Like, no, you don't have to pick. You can heal, both people with 1 heal. It's really good, really, really, really good heal. There are some cases in PvE where you might use it if you're low and say someone else is. You can heal, together. But I really do think it's a slept-on heal that not a lot of people use enough, especially in PvP. It is just amazing. So. Well, what this talent does is, 20% additional to your greater heal, 10% additional to your flash heal and binding heal, which is honestly why greater heal rank 1 is still so good.
And I don't even know if you know this, Hale, but just to shield for Def Camp again, for those of you watching right now, if there is anyone new, Def Camp actually did Arena and got Glide one of the seasons back in TBC. So, like, I would 100% take what he's saying very, like,
So,
very
and the thing about binding heal, too, is, like, really, really, really important is, like, people don't realize, like, sometimes, okay, if you're in a setting where you're fighting like 2 melee or fighting a range and a melee, like being able to heal yourself and your target at the same time, that one global where say you need to put a renew on yourself or someone's about to die, like binding heal can literally save your ass in so many situations. Putting a shield on yourself, throwing out a quick binding heal, like it is such a powerful heal to be able to heal yourself and that target in the same heal without using a crazy amount of mana, like using a prayer of healing, which is a way longer cast, way more healing, and I think honestly it doesn't even really heal like as much. So in PvP, binding heal is your fucking friend, especially if you're both taking damage like in a 2v2. Yeah. Very, very good heal.
Very, very good anti-cleave, especially with prayer mending.
Yes.
Like those two, prayer mending super efficient, and binding heal like saves your bacon. Where you don't have to choose to heal them or you if you're each like getting damage.
Exactly.
Right? You do both.
Now, there's no, in a cleave group where you shouldn't be, stacked right on top of your partner. Really, in too many cases, you should be, LOSing behind a, but if there are times where you're getting hit and your partner is, and you're getting, you don't always want to refresh. So, yeah, like it gets a warlock. So prayer of mending, what a lot of people do, I notice, like people will refresh it when it only jumps once. Like let that prayer of mending do its job. Let it jump back and forth and get the healing from it that you can get, especially if you're getting hit and the other person's getting hit, or if you want to use a you can even have it jump by using a shadow word death, shadow word death, and that jump to the person. But a lot of people will go like use prayer of mending in a way where they're just okay, it healed the target I wanted to heal, now I want to put another one on him,
Who do you
let
think
it jump a couple times.
Who do you think
let it actually do?
What do you think is top dog healer in a raid environment in BC?
In a raid environment, every healer has their niche. It's very raw output. Shamans do extremely well in high-end content. So do priests, so do druids. So do paladins. Yeah.
I heard paladins went down a little bit.
Yeah, paladins are a little bit less.
I would say paladins take the lower end, and I would so druids, very, very good. Because here's the thing: you have, and I know we talked about this. Yes, there's less healers and there's less people, but when there's less healers, and you don't have everyone healing the same target, HOTS are much more powerful, right? So druids have a much more place to shine because without 12 healers, you're much more likely to let that HOT let it finish ticking and get more healing out of it. That's why Renew is very good as well. Yes, you have less healers. Yes, you have less people. But a lot of times in raid setting, all the 12 healers, sometimes they're focused on healing one person. You know what I mean? So with that, a little bit more of allowance to let these HOTs tick off. I think druids, have a good place. Life Bloom ticks for an amazing amount, and it's just a really great heal. But I think for me, shamans, druids, and priests are kind of like, you need them. You need all of them. Like, obviously,
well, you need paladin for tank healing, right?
The
thing is, it's just lower on the damage on the healing meters because you heal one single target, and everyone else is throwing HOTS everywhere. So the healing meters go up. You see.
Yeah, paladins get kind of shit because imagine as a priest, right? You have so many options now. You have Renew, right? You have your shield for big hits. Your power word shield, which is obviously you got to know when to use it. It's very important to know when to use power word shield. Prayer of Mending, Renew. You have now all your other heals. You have circle of healing. So you have.
Do druids suffer from the same problems though? Like as in class, people say that druids, HOTS just are when you're playing at a high end level, it's hard for you to get value from HOTS, right? Because everybody's just sniping heals back and forth using instant heals.
It can be harder. However, it's not nearly as bad as it was in vanilla, in my opinion.
Well, for Alliance at least, you don't have the paladins doing the flash of lights on the raid, so the HOTS can keep on
mostly using Holy Light. Yeah, so paladins are using Holy Light more, correct? PvC, right? Yeah. So, but Circle of Healing. So I just want to talk about that for a second. Like, as far as having these instant cast heals, there's some fights in heroics. Remember, I forget what fight it was. It's one of the Alkandun, but where you basically can't heal any.
Any casts.
And you have to use all like HOTS and instant casts. And
the
only people that can do it are druids and priests, because you have Circle of Healing, Prayer of Mending, Renew, and Shield as a priest. So you have preemptive, you have all these amazing things you could do as a priest or a druid for instant cast. So there's certain times I think priest is at its best in TBC. You have so many options when it comes to raid healing. You have an option for AoE. You have, two options for AoE, an option for HOTS, Prayer of Mending. Dude, priest is just so good.
People say priests are the kings of the king healers in vanilla. Would you say they power up even more, or going into TBC, you think they get even stronger?
I think so.
It's a full package, really.
Yeah, it really is. I stand by
the gap definitely closes between the other healers, but they have so much more added to their kit. They really become even stronger.
It looks fun too, honestly. Just between Circle of Healing,
so much fun.
Prayer of Mending. Some of these, even kind of Lightwell looks kind of fun, yo. I'm not gonna lie, even though it's trash.
I mean, you can take it, but here's I want to say something. Like, sometimes I get bored. You know what I mean? But in TBC, I never got fucking bored. I loved it. I just want to run through disciplines because we're really taking long on these.
So wait, one thing that confuses me. Circle of Healing got through like 100 changes. Which version do we actually?
So we're gonna get the 6-second cooldown instant cast.
Okay. Oh, I really liked, but that was OP obviously. But I really liked the one without cooldown.
It had a 1 minute cooldown.
No cooldown.
Oh, it had no cooldown. Okay, I see.
Circle of Healing, you could just spam over and over and over and over again. I mean, you go quick as fuck, but still.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, that's how we killed Illidan the first time.
But it's like 5-6 seconds or whatever. Yeah. So real quick, I love, guys, Holy is amazing, but Discipline is the absolute master in PvP. Now, I will say there is one talent in the Holy Tree PvP that's actually really good, and that is Blessed Resilience. So it's to the right of Lightwell. And
yeah.
So I in the early days, I actually saw a lot of priests, especially in Battlegrounds, who would go Holy and get Blessed Resilience. Critical hit against you has a 60% chance, right? That any crit for the next 6 seconds will not crit you, basically. Critical hits against you have a 60% chance to reduce the chance you'll be critically hit.
You can't be crit for 6 seconds.
100%. Exactly.
So
it's OP as
that's
fuck.
insane. That's insane.
So good.
Yeah.
It is so good. And people, obviously, discipline is like too good to pass up because you have so many good things. But a lot of people would take that talent and go holy and BGs and stuff and do really, really good. So it's a lot of fun. But
I remember that messing up my shatter combos on mage.
oh, dude, it's But real quick, I just want to go down talk about Unbreakable Will. Obviously, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but so Absolution is a new thing in there. So it reduces the mana cost if you dispel magic, cure disease, abolish disease, and massive spell. Massive spell. Let's talk about that for 1 second.
Ooh, massive spell. Yeah, I got to
massive spell. It removes people out of stealth. People forget about that.
Yep.
It removes bubble. It removes ice block.
Removes bubble and ice block. Oh man.
It also removes, whatever,
You hate to see that, right?
It is
Yeah, I hate to see it. Tuna Dan, you hate to see it.
Yeah. It is so powerful. However, it uses a good amount of mana. So you have to be careful how often you use it. But with the points in Absolution, and you get 2 points in Focus Power, which your master spell cast time is reduced by 1 second.
So it becomes 0.5 second cast.
Yes, 0.5 second cast.
Insane.
And then also improved
Insane.
mana burn. So back in BC, one thing that I used to hate going against other people in Arena was a priest versus priest, because a lot of times it would be who can mana burn who the quickest. You know what I mean? Because mana is so essential in Arena, right, in 2v2. So yeah, improved mana burn is still very going against paladins. If you get a druid, to go out of form sometimes, give them a couple mana burns. It's very nice to have, but also you got to remember that you can't just sit there and be mana burning. You have to be, working offensively, defensively, constantly dispelling, constantly trying to LOS. You always, like the walls in the arena are your fucking friend. As a healer, always going to try to be LOSing. If there's a mage CCing, you want to try to, be in line of sight of your player as much as you can. Put a shield on them, put renew on them if you can, whatever. If you're going to be out of range for a second, but the biggest fear that you want to have is being, getting into CC chain and not being able to get to your person quick enough to be able to put, pain suppression on them or to be able to heal them. But you want to LOS as much as you can as a priest, because you don't have movement speed, but you do have fear, right? So you have fear. You can even utilize mind control times where but fear is going to be your biggest defensive, in order to get people away from you.
Disc is the go-to healing spec in PvP arenas.
Disc
right?
is the go-to healing spec.
You're not
Here's
going
the
holy
thing.
and
Here's the
twos
thing.
or threes.
I love Reflective Shield. I fucking love it. It's one of my most favorite things
right
in PvP. However, it's really not. When we had to pump really hard, I obviously had to respect out of Reflective Shield, because there are things just in the discipline tree that are so needed, right? Especially in the Holy Tree and the Discipline Tree that you need. That Reflective Shield, the damage that you get from it is just not worth it, right? For the talents that you do. Now, Reflective Shield is a lot of fun if you want to go into a BG or if you want to maybe mess around. It's a lot of. I love people just wasting away on my shield. It's such an amazing. However, it is not as impactful as some of the other talents. Like a Focused Will, for example. Like after taking a critical hit. You gain the Focused Will effect, reducing all damage by 5% and increasing healing on you by 10%. Stacks up to 3 times. Focused Will is an amazing talent, right? You have, of course, your Power Infusion, your Pain Suppression.
Pain Suppression, the big ticket
Pain
one,
Suppression,
the flashiest thing ever. It looks amazing.
Here it is. Instantly reduce a friendly's threat by 5%. Doesn't really matter, but reduces all damage taken by 40% and increases resistance to dispel mechanics by 65%. So, if someone tries to dispel, there's a 65% chance that Pain Suppression will not be dispelled. However, I don't know, does that work with Spell Steal? Because I remember my Pain Suppression would get spell stolen by a mage.
No, you can get spell. Yeah, you can get a spell stolen. 100%.
It's still 100%. Yeah.
No, but there is some kind of dispel protection in Disc though. Hold on, let me try and find it.
It's so you have. Unbreakable Will increases your chance to resist stun, fear, and sounds effects by additional 15%. You also have Martyrdom, which gives you a 100% chance to gain focus casting effect that lasts for 6 seconds. The victim of the melee range attack, the focusing cast prevents you from losing casting time when taking damage and increases resistance to interrupt effects by 20%.
There's some kind of dispel resistance in here though, man. Oh, here it is. Silent Resolve. Here it is. Look.
Okay. Silent Resolve. Yeah. So Silent
reduces
Resolve
the chance your spells will be dispelled by 20%. That's really juicy, right? That's.
Yeah.
I mean,
that is 100% needed. Cargoes. Yeah. So a lot of people see the first part of it that reduces threat, and you're like, oh, that's what it was in vanilla, but they added in TBC.
And pain suppression. And pain suppression already has 65% increased resistance to the spell mechanic. So 65 plus 20 by 20, 85%.
85.
Yeah. So it's
and if you get martyrdom, so say if you had it on, and you get a martyrdom proc, that's over 100% right there, right?
Yeah. Oh wait.
20 plus 20
martyrdom.
plus 65.
Does martyrdom do that? Martyrdom gives you
martyrdom. So the focus casting prevents you from losing casting.
That's
time
interrupt effects. That's different from resist.
And increases resistance to interrupt. Oh, I'm sorry, interrupt effects.
Okay. Yeah. So it's 85% though. Base. Like as soon as you pain suppression, 85% dispel resistance.
85%. Yeah. And so here's another thing, right? So reduces all damage by 40%, right? Okay. So a lot of people, will wait for to use pain suppression. It's a very, 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 very strong spell. And like so like Cargo said, 85 chance to reduce that it'll be dispelled. So it's very, very important that
I wonder if you bring a Disc Priest to a raid though.
If you put it, what's that?
I feel like you might want to bring a Disc Priest to a raid though, so you can toss out pain suppressions on needed. And there's some utility
so
there.
it
Power
reduces
infusion.
the threat by 5% as well.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with it. It all reduces the threat of the target.
Well, you could throw it on someone who pulls. If I pull something or some shit, like hit him with the pain suppression, power infusion.
It's much more important for the healing that you get. You still can have a infusion if you want to, but the holy tree is just, there's so many good things like Circle of Healing that are just so more important. But I know I was spending so much time on
you bring one discipline for the priest, the spirit buff, and
for the spirit
if you go to the spirit buff, you can't go to Circle of Healing anyway.
You can't get the spirit buff and Circle of Healing, So, but basically, what in a 2v2 setting, right? You have, or a 3v3, any arena setting, basically, right? You have a pretty good healer, like whether it's a paladin, priest, druid, right? Priests are very tanky. Okay, they have their shields, they have inner fire, they have a lot of resilience, they have so many pain suppression, so many cooldowns to do, so many really strong like defensive cooldowns and spells. However, you do still want to put some points into the holy tree. You usually go down to improved healing, so you get like improved new, holy spec, divine fury. You go down to improved healing. That's about as far down. Everything else you want to do is stay in the discipline tree. So like you go 5 out of 5 unbreakable will, silent resolve, improved power word shield. There's so many good things in the discipline tree. When you read it, reduces the mana cost. You reduce spell magics, absolution. You're dispelling a lot in arena. Especially if you're offensively and defensively. You got to remember, magic spell works offensively, defensively.
One thing I'm thinking about right now, I feel like we've covered a good amount of classes now. It feels like every spec almost feels like it's getting improved, even if it doesn't.
Oh, absolutely.
Even if it's not, like comparatively to other classes. That Blizzard did really well with that. Is there a spec? I'm asking everybody in chat and everything too. Is there a spec that actually took a step backwards and feels more incomplete or anything, or did they just hit a home run here? I don't know. Feels like everything so far.
Rogue, like combat rogue, I think could have been a little bit better. I don't think it took a step backwards, but like I look at combat rogue and like basically the same thing as vanilla in a lot of ways.
I feel mage was already a complete kit in vanilla, and BC didn't change it that much. It's still a very good all-around class, but it got the least amount of love. But it's not a specific spec per se.
Yeah. Well, they did round out the arcane.
Arcane,
They definitely round out arcane. And you also have
Frost got a pet though. Really pet is sick though. I gotta say the pet is
so good. But one last thing about priest, I just want to say this. Plan on playing a priest, right? I would say the skill level from vanilla to BC does increase. Like there's a lot, like priest in vanilla is pretty, basic, not basic, but there's not like, especially shadow, right? There's not like too much to it. You dispel, right? Offensively, I would say the skills cap in BC, it becomes a lot more fun. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot more abilities to use from. There's a lot more to do. There's just so many different options you could go with. Whether it's discipline, discipline is just an amazing spec in PvP. Holy is amazing in PvE. Shadow's great in both. You have a lot of options to go with. I think priest is honestly the best it's ever been in TBC, hands down, in my opinion.
So 10 out of 10.
Hands
what's
down.
your rating of Priest?
Absolutely. 10 out of 10 every spec.
Every spec, 10 out of 10.
Ooh.
Wow. I love
Absolutely.
to see
I'm
it.
telling you, like Priest and TBC is my absolute favorite of everything. Like,
And you
there's
don't
nothing,
get bored. And it actually seems fun to
Never.
heal as a priest, honestly. Looking at the abilities, I could see myself
It
like,
really is,
circle
dude.
of healing.
Especially in
and
PvP, man. In PvP, it's absolutely a blast. Yeah.
yeah.
And
Sick.
PvE, yeah.
That is sick.
All right, check out the sets.
Yeah, check out the sets and we'll go warrior.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's see. Armor sets. Let's see what kind of soy boy priest outfit they have for this.
So yeah, the tier 5 head. I used to have that on my TBC priest, which wasn't undead, and that really suits undead very, very well.
Let's see.
It suits
here.
everyone, I feel.
All right, so priest is smack dab in the middle here. Tier 4, 5, and 6. Wait. What do you guys think? Actually, they all look pretty sick. I don't know. Wait. What do you guys think?
Oh wait, I don't have it up right now.
Oh, it did not switch.
You gotta-
Oh,
you gotta-
oh, my bad. I gotta transition it. My bad.
I mean, I know what they look
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but obviously tier 5 is my favorite, hands down. I like tier 6 a lot, though. I do.
I like the shoulders on tier 6, bro. Look at those
Yeah,
cool ass
yeah.
like avatar blindfolded thing. That's dope. Tier 4 is my least favorite. I gotta say. I mean,
Yeah, same
I think
here.
tier 4 is the worst set out of any of the
Really?
tier 4 sets.
Come
I
on.
don't think so though. It's priesty. It looks distinct.
look at
from
the
everything
druid,
else.
yo. The druid looks like he's in pain, man.
And the
That's
rogue
true.
one, I
Druid-
really don't.
Druid's pretty cool, but-
I don't like the rogue one that much either. In tier 4,
I think all sets really have something going for them.
I love tier 5
But
priest. though.
yeah,
Yeah, but
priest
tier
tier
five
5
is
is
sick.
my favorite from
it actually
probably all
looks
sets.
really good. In
Damn.
Shadow, too.
Which one was your favorite? Yeah.
Tier 5 priest.
Out of all sets in the game. Wow.
Yeah, but I think it's also because I had that one back in TBC, so that adds something.
Yeah.
But still, I like the head, and
On tier 5, does it have like a little halo that spins around? It looks like there's something above his hood.
now it's sparkling a little bit.
A little sparkling.
Someone has to show the arena tiers as well because they are different. But yeah, differentiation is that's all it is, just different colors. Yeah.
Ale, we asked everybody last time on our TBC what their favorite armor set of all time was. Do you have a favorite one and least favorite one here out of these?
Like any class?
Yeah, any class.
Any
yeah.
class,
Yeah,
yep.
you're just curious. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I it's fortunate. It's definitely the tier 5 priest set, and I
Really?
haven't played a priest. The
You played the priest too.
No, I didn't play a
Oh,
priest.
okay.
But the I think the way the shoulders and the halo, like it's a really angelic, fits into the holy priest motif.
Yeah.
How do you feel about tier 6 warrior?
That's my favorite.
I think it's good. It's a very tanky set. Very fits into kind of like the Black Temple theme. I think
Yeah.
that's where it drops. So I like it, but I still got to give the edge to the priest.
Nice.
I think
Yeah,
I think tier 6 priest Def Camp. I'm imagining it in an undead. It probably looks sick on.
Oh,
an
it looks
undead.
amazing.
Shadow.
Yeah.
It
Yes,
works
yeah.
so well with shadow.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Undead with that hood and like the shoulders on undead.
Oh,
It looks-
I love the
looks tight.
shoulders. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, my favorites are still tier 5 priest and tier 5 rogue. Absolutely.
Pretty solid. Pretty solid.
Yeah.
We're going to sneak Crix in here. He wants us to just comment on Warlock real quick.
Oh,
Or moving
nice,
on to Warrior
nice.
real quick. Crix has been dying to get in here, and he's a big brain. He's been very active on. Oh, Crix, if you're watching, send me a friend request, man. I can't add you right now quite yet. So,
I think all he has to do is join the call, right?
Oh yeah, he just has to join the call. That's why. Yeah. Just hop in whenever you're ready, Crix, and you can say your piece on Warlocks. I'll start moving over to Warrior too, because we got to get Big Ale Gaming. His thoughts on Warrior. All right.
I'm so excited for BC, guys.
Yeah,
I wish I could play now.
So you want to play priest again, Defkin?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. I would. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not healing anymore in TBC, but if I would heal, I would probably not play priest this time. I think I would probably stick with paladin, see how it feels.
I mean,
from,
Paladin's not bad. It's just yeah.
yeah.
Druid. Honestly, if I would have a druid healer too. I would want to do both.
Sure, it's fun.
Ale, are you going to play Warrior
There
in
he is.
TBC? Is that your plan?
It's really going to depend if I have people to play with. I really want to PvP on Warrior. PvE, not so much. They actually lose a lot going to TBC. They aren't the kings of DPS anymore. They do get a lot stronger a little bit later on. But early on especially, you're not going to see these crazy like all melee stack comps. Like the raid comps in TBC are a lot more balanced, and It's actually something that like we talk a little bit about is that what's going to happen when you go to TBC? Like, what are all these warriors going to do, right?
We were just talking about that last week.
Mhm.
How many warriors are gonna re-roll or just all be tanks?
It's
I don't know.
their arrow is going to be over pretty well, not over,
Yeah.
but you know what I'm saying. Like they take a few steps down. That's what they.
It is
they
now
say.
the time of the warlock to shine. And speaking of warlocks, what's up, Grix?
What is up, brother?
What's up, mate? Can you hear me?
Can hear you loud and
Yes.
clear, man.
Yeah.
Good to have you in here, my man.
No echoes or nothing. We're good.
No echoes, brother.
Oh,
Yo,
perfect.
fam.
Hello,
Glad
man.
I
How are
finally
you?
caught a
I got
stream
mad when I woke
live.
up and missed it.
I've been Maya's as you guys. Hope everyone
dude.
is safe out
It's
there.
we're like shit. We gotta get Grix in here, man. But I'm glad you made it, brother.
For real, yo, Crix, man, it's long overdue, bro. Crix is actively playing Warlock on TBC. Let's just say that, and has probably a very super fresh take on Warlock, man. Could you share with the people?
I wish I read. I didn't see your guys's. I went and rewinded it to see where you were talking about in Warlocks, but I didn't see everything you guys talked about. To know.
We went over the specs, SLSL and stuff like that. You're rating on a Warlock, right? So like you have a pretty fresh understanding. How does it feel,
I think
man?
I've hit every spec that you. I've played every spec you're gonna play in a Warlock so far.
How does it feel, brother?
Oh, it feels amazing. It feels way better than Classic. It feels like Classic, like how strong Classic feels.
Yeah. Feels even
But
strong,
like
way stronger.
but you're like topping meters at all times.
Damn.
Besides Hunters are pretty nutty too though.
And
but
you have a
this
threat reduction right now in TBC.
yeah, and it's a dump too.
Oh.
50%. It's a 50%. It halves all your threat that you're currently on.
Wow.
You currently have by everything within 50 yards of you.
So you can pump 100%. You can go 100% all
you
the time.
pump.
Yeah.
100%
All the
zone.
time. It depends on like in dungeons it's really hard because Seed of Corruption is a different beast.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if people remember what Seed of Corruption is or how it works. But
I
it's,
remember warlocks dying a lot in my.
Yeah, Warlocks are having trouble in Classic, which is Hellfire,
Mhm.
which means they're gonna have a lot of trouble with Seed of Corruption. But even with this, it's called Soul Shatter. The threat dump is called Soul Shatter. So
Soul
5-minute
Shatter.
cooldown,
How-
cost a shard.
What is the
It's an instant cast. If you just pop it whenever you want, 5-minute cooldown, and it halves everything, and it's so nice. It saves you.
what is the threat reduction on it?
50%.
50%. That is no
And you have
joke.
paladins now, right?
Yeah,
You have
that's
paladins.
insane.
So everybody, even me, I jumped in here. Oh, I remember Seed of Corruption from I play retail Warlock a lot. I can do Seed of Corruption. It's very different. It's you pop one seed pops, you pull all aggro. You're
Really?
pulling all the aggro from unless it's a paladin.
What if you
thing.
soul shatter though?
You can, but it's on a 5-minute cooldown, so you can't do that every pool. So right now, for instance, right now I'm doing heroics, and if I'm doing heroics and we're trying to do a speed heroic, and you're not a paladin, I'm pulling from you every time.
So
You don't have time for me.
is there
to
any
wait 5
aspect
minutes.
of TBC lock for you, Crix, that feels worse than in Classic? I'm curious. Anything that just feels worse?
I don't think anything feels worse. I feel like matchups became worse or better. Some matchups became like when I do my 1v1s, some matchups became like significantly harder, and you have to go about it a completely different way than you do in Classic.
Like
PvP
what?
wise.
What matchups in particular?
Oh, Rogue's drastically different. Shadow Step, Cloak Shadows. I mean, if you think about when you play Cargos, you play a Warlock, and you're in a duel with a Rogue. Imagine you get opened up on a new Death Coil, and you just see their whole body turn black because they Cloak of Shadows, and you can't do anything to them, and they can just Shadow Step on you and just melt you.
Yo.
I'm having a lot of trouble with I'm having more trouble with Rogues than I am with anything else.
Rogue with full cooldowns in TBC seems like the
Yeah,
hardest
it's
class to
nasty.
beat in a duel. I don't know if any people agree in the class, but I was dueling a lot with Navik, and if a Rogue has everything, dude, they are very
Crap,
powerful.
dude. Like, yeah. I mean,
I
come
can't.
on,
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't. Granted, I don't have all resilience gear yet, but still, I've tried to. When I first started playing, got a little bit of gear, like got Karazhan gear, I T4'd out, and I'm running around trying to fight, trying to 1v1 world PvP, and I'll like see a rogue, and I'll jump, I'll let him get full health and everything, and I can't beat him. And okay, this time I'm gonna jump on him, not let him get full health, can't beat him. Like they're just so good that it doesn't even make sense. And that's the matchup I'm gonna be scared of, because you're gonna see I'm gonna do a lot of arena. That's what you're gonna see.
What's
rogues everywhere?
Your rating as a Warlock right now? You're Destro, right? And what is the rotation?
Yeah,
what is
you
the
start off as Affliction until you get your hit.
Okay.
You want like 8 or 10% hit.
So if you start off as Affliction, are you using Unstable Affliction and stuff? Do you have debuff slots for
You
days?
have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 40 debuff slot. limit.
Yeah.
So you as
Don't you
affliction-
typically take one affliction still after a while? So I think you take 3 warlocks to a typical raid, right? 2
Yeah,
Deathrows,
we
1
take
affliction.
3
right?
because you can take 4, but it doesn't really help that much. It'd be nice to stack warlocks on hunters, but you can't because of the utility. You only have 25 people, not 40 people. 1 lock stays affliction for quite a while because we have a lot of talents that boost -5 physical damage from the boss, or like boost up curse of elements because there's no more curse of shadows anymore. It's all baked into curse of elements.
Right.
And then once you switch to Destro, it literally is just. It seems like now with DS Ruin, you would like, oh, can I get, if you get a corruption and then Shadow Bolt spam, you're pulling more DPS, but it's not like that anymore. It's literally put a curse of doom. One, that's another thing, is you get the curse of doom everything.
Ooh, and it's
Affliction, when we're affliction, you open up, you can put your agony or doom if you want, corruption, siphon life, immolate, and an unstable affliction. All that's on the boss, and then you spam Shadow Bolt.
God, that feels so good, bro. You can put up
it feels so good.
You almost feel like you have PTSD from not being able to put on your dots, right? From Classic, you're like, do you flinch every time you put up a Siphon Life? Like, do you look over your shoulder and go like,
it feels weird because like you wouldn't even do that in Classic because you're like, oh, why would I do Siphon Life? But you it helps. It's the damage, and Immolate's a fat one too. And also and then when you switch to, you get enough a 10% hit. Destro becomes more, but you still want to. So I stayed affliction until I was like 13% hit, and then when you switch to Destro, it's just boring. It's just TDM countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Curse of Doom, or whatever your curse is, and just
you don't even throw up corruption or anything like that.
You're a mage.
No.
Memes mages with Frostbolt. It's literally like you don't put a dot up, you just Shadow Bolt. And
why not?
So
corruption. Not even work. Corruption not even work.
That Shadow and Flame. That Shadow and Flame. The second right above Shadow Fury and the Destro talent.
Yeah.
There's Shadow and Flame. You have so much stuff that bursts your Shadow Bolt damage that it's just nutty.
Okay. You don't even waste a global doing anything else. Wow.
You really don't.
That's crazy,
it's nasty. And you'll pull threat right away if you crit right away. It's kind of like you're on a Chromagus fight and you get lucky and you get a big big hit.
Yo,
like that,
so threat is still a concern for warlocks, even with the Soul Shatter, even with the paladins. That's so hard they slap.
If you have a Soul Shatter every pull, which you should typically on a boss fight because it's 5
You're
minutes,
getting me hyped.
If you guys wipe, it takes a while to get back. You get a Soul Shatter every time. It's nice. It's so much fun.
What are the?
Go ahead.
What numbers do you put? Like number for Shadow Bolt. It's like what are some of the highest crits?
Let's see I don't know what the end right now they'll hit for like 7 or 8K. They're beefy, and I'm not fully geared yet, and we're still doing T5 because the server that I'm on, they didn't open up T4 and T5.
Yeah, what about pet tricks? Are you using like imp
Sack the Succubus?
Yeah, okay. So you still sack the Succubus. Okay.
Yep, sack the Succubus.
So you go so you still go like DS Ruin, right? You go DS Destruction.
DS Ruin, the same build, except for you're putting all these new little talents like you see on the right above Shadow Fury and right next to the left and the right of Conflag. Yeah. You're using those talents. So you just have a bunch of filler talents that help a lot.
What about Shadow Fury? Is this a meme or you just use this for AoE for like packs?
Shadow Fury it's a meme. It's so fun though.
Okay.
It's so fun though because you can seed in a dungeon and in Shadow Fury and it'll pop the seed and it stuns everything. It's really nice.
Are you trash in PvP if you get caught out as this raid spec though? Probably, right?
Yes. You're trash. But yeah. You're like it's just like honestly, as a warlock, you're trash unless you get caught with SLSL. And SLSL is a different beast.
Yeah, it's true. I wonder if you could rate as SLSL. I wonder if there would be a way you could be like serviceable.
Well, I mean, I do dungeons as SLSL because like just when I'm doing my rep grind because I don't feel like switching specs.
Yeah.
And you do good.
Well, you have a dual spec on endless, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you get your seed spam no matter what.
Yeah,
and your seed spam, you're sacking your Succubus for shadow damage, which is seed spam.
Yeah.
So you can pump and pump and pump and pump.
That's true. All right, let's move on to Warrior, man, so we can get it done. We have Ale here, so sorry, Ale, to cut you off, man. It's just so good to have Cricks in here. It's long overdue. Ale, are you going to play Warrior in TBC? And why is Warrior your expertise? Did you play Warrior back in TBC? It seems like you played Priest. Just give us the rundown.
No, I did. I played Warrior and I played Mage and Shaman originally in TBC.
Okay.
And I would like to, but it's going to be the kind of thing where I don't think I'm going to play it in PvE. They do take a little bit of a hit. They're not as strong. Mm-hmm. I do still want to play it in PvP, but that's going to really depend if I can find arena partners to play with. Because without that, you're really nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Having good people to play. So like big changes coming to Warriors and TBC. A lot of the talents get moved around. Death Wish goes into the arms tree from Fury.
Mm-hmm.
As well, Tactical Mastery gets moved from arms into protection, which really helps. This makes it so, all the 3 warrior specs can get tactical mastery, which was a huge issue in vanilla. Moving stanches, you just lose your entire rage bar.
Sweeping strikes and fury feels weird, man.
Yeah,
it does.
yeah.
That's what gets swapped for Death Wish.
Oh. Have you ever thought about tanking in TBC, Al?
Yeah, so the changes to tactical mastery actually really help because you can pick up that talent. It gives you additional threat, even if you're not full protection. So you can tank like most 5-mans and stuff as the other specs. The threat does get a lot better going full protection. As far as I know, there's no like dual wield shenanigans or anything like that.
No pure tanking in TBC. Yeah.
Yep.
One thing that seems kind of hype, Al, that I was hearing about, there's some people out there who would like shill so hard for Arms Warrior Raid DPS. Like they love it. Like it's like their favorite spec in the entire history of the game. I don't know what exactly is so fun about it, but they go Arms in a raid, and apparently they do pretty good ass damage. You make compilations with like grunge music in the back playing, slapping his arms. Like, and it makes me think to myself, maybe you could do some PvP spec where you get the PvP, which is your Mortal Strike, and then you get to go into the raid and still kind of do some pretty good damage. Have you heard about that?
That's kind of a little bit later on with Slam and Haste. I think it really gets into a place that it gets really strong, and having both factions with Wind Fury, even though Wind Fury does get a little bit nerfed, it gets quite good.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's kind of where like it really picks up. I think late kind of into Black Temple, like the 2-handed Slam arms is quite.
I see.
And a lot of fun too, because you get those huge numbers with the 2-handers.
And Navik told me this, and I've heard this from a few people now, that warriors are still the de facto main tank. So if people are curious out there, I don't know. First of all, do you agree with that? But do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason for that is just the cooldowns they have. I know Paladins. I think Paladins only really mitigation is when they're below like 35%. They get a damage reduction. Warriors still have shield wall, still have last stand. Even like to a lesser extent like shield block and stuff. They have a lot of really good ways to mitigate like really heavy damage on them, which the other tank specs don't. Like druids. I think druids might have 1 cooldown. Mm-hmm. They're pretty solid. Paladins as like a main tank, they can struggle a bit, but they're great at tanking 5-mans. They're great at off-tanking things, the Paladins. But yeah, as a main tank...
Sorry.
As a main tank, it's a warrior, yeah.
Sorry to disrupt. But the really cool thing, though, I think, in raids is you bring one of each, right? You bring Prot, Warrior, Protection, Paladin, and Feral Druid. Isn't it? Because I think you main tank with the Warrior, then you have the Paladin for certain AoE packs and stuff. And Druid can both DPS and tank, so when needed you have 3 tanks. So I think that's like one of the most I think that's one of the most popular combos. I mean,
it is definitely.
Yeah, you're strongest the more balanced you are, and if you don't have like a balanced comp, say you only have like 3 like warrior tanks, like you don't really hurt that bad, but you're definitely stronger having a varied classes and not as much class stack.
That's a really good point, Dune. One thing I am supremely curious about, if any 3 of you or the chat have any knowledge in this. So Navik was telling me that threat isn't as much of an issue in TBC. And Crix, you're saying that you can still, it feels like you get shadow vulnerability and you just will rip immediately. And that threat is potentially a concern here. And then the other thing you hear is that tanks are no longer going full zug with itemization. They're actually choosing stuff like defense and resilience, expertise, and getting some of these actual tank stats. Which is it, or do they both kind of just exist together? Is threat like an issue in your raid right now, Crix, for lots of DPS, or is it kind of like Warlock slap so hard exclusively to Warlocks? What do you guys think about that?
It seems like Warlock hunters slap harder than Warlocks, but they have some they have feign death, misdirect, so it's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. But if we don't have a problem, we just gotta wait, give them 2 seconds, because warriors aren't Fury build dual wield tanking anymore. Mm-hmm. At least not right now. They're not. They're actually doing like sword and board. I like that too. Yeah. They're actually doing the real sword and board, what you're supposed to be doing. And if I have to give them a couple seconds just to build up. As in, like when the countdown's going, don't start spamming Shadow Bolt a second and a half before the timer goes down, or you're gonna pull them most likely.
Yeah, cargoes.
The big thing with the Warlocks is the AoE threat with Seed. You'll see a lot of newer Warlocks pull with that because the threat on it is so huge. They're hitting all their targets around the Seed. And as a warrior, you're T-clapping, you're cleaving, you're tab tap Sunder, tap Devastate, and stuff like that. It just isn't enough threat. So big time, you'll definitely see Warlocks and Hunters pulling a lot of aggro with like multi-shot and things off the start. The other classes, not so much. I was actually talking to Navik as well about the threat, and threat is a lot less of an issue. Like with the talents lower down in the warrior tree, devastate and stuff like that, it makes a huge difference actually. And threat becomes a lot less of a problem when it isn't AOE tanking. Warriors aren't that strong in AOE tanking though, so
yeah, you're druids.
Druids are strong.
Paladins really are the best, right? I mean, I have a druid right now.
That's where paladins shine. I feel like if it's single target, 2 target, I'd take a warrior probably. I don't know. It's hard to say. I love seeing a warrior still though. You still need one in your raid.
Even druid though, some people might think swipe hits out every target around you. It still only hits like 3 targets, so you have to actually manually kind of find swipe targets, and it'll hit the targets that are closest to the swipe target with it. So you have to if you're tanking like 10 things, you just keep tabbing over to different targets and try and swipe them all and hit them to try and hit as many as you can. But it still feels kind of scuffed. Meanwhile, Paladins over there with like 9 million AOE things.
And not only do they can they AOE and hold the amount of threat that Paladins do have when they have threat. I don't know about you guys, but it seemed like when Paladin had 10 mobs on them, they're not coming off them. They're fucking staying on them. And just the amount of threat that they can put out is
the Paladin's baseline taunt is an AOE taunt. Right, we talked about this last episode, which is interesting. Their taunt is an AOE taunt, right? Isn't it 3 targets?
Put it on the person. How does it work again? You put it on the person.
You put it on the person who has aggro. So and then you take it from them.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Salve.
Yeah.
And then
Where Warrior really shines in TBC is definitely in Arena, though. Having Moral Strike, basically, you have some really strong attrition comps, usually Warrior Druid, Warrior Lock Druid, having Death Wish as well, that DPS cooldown. They become really strong, especially as Warlocks and Rogues get stronger. Having a Warrior there, it kind of helps keep those a little bit in check, because Warriors are pretty strong against those classes.
Yep. And people say that warriors take a step down in TBC. One thing you have to keep in mind that at least amongst the arena community, they will rate warriors up there as basically an S tier. Well, they put Resto Druid up in S tier, but right below Resto Druid, you have warrior right there. Like warrior is extremely powerful in PvP. The key thing is that you have to be in a group type of environment, right? Because you're still kind of a potato if you get caught out. Unfortunately,
the really cool thing though is even in PvE, you still in the optimal situation, you still bring 1 arms, 1 fury, 1 protection. So all 3 specs really shine in PvE as well.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, when you get a chance, because there's a lot of gaps they say that filled into the Warriors kit here into TBC. What are some of the new things that in the talents or abilities that Warriors have that separate them from Classic and make them feel better in some senses?
Well, for sure. So the one thing Dunedin mentioned is that you do want to have an Arms Warrior, and that's due to Blood Frenzy, a talent directly to the left of Mortal Strike. Basically, Ren and Deep Wounds increases all melee damage caused by 4%. So where in the Classic, you don't really have a reason to bring an Arms Warrior. The DPS just isn't there. The Mortal Strike debuff really doesn't matter. In TBC, having that 4% extra damage, that's huge, right? That's a reason alone to bring an Arms Warrior.
And you can use Mortal Strike because you're not worried about the debuff slots too, right? It feels good with the 40 the 40 debuff slot, man.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Yeah. Do you still have to manage them at all, Crix? Are you? I'm sure you're close up to 40. No.
Yeah, we haven't yet, but if it is, it's just you got 1 affliction like putting 5 fucking debuffs up there. You know what I mean? All you do is drop any of them.
Okay.
And you don't run an affliction all the time anyway. After you get to T5, you're gonna stop running one, so then it opens up 5 slots. But you shouldn't have any issues at all. We haven't, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the talent changes, like I said, adding Tactical Mastery much higher up in the protection tree is huge, because that gives each of the specs, the ability to change stances, retain some rage, as well as give bonus threat to non-protection warriors to allow them to tank 5 meds and things like that. Very strong.
What's your favorite? Do you have some? Oh, also, Second Wind is sick too, right? What are some of your favorite?
Oh, it's so good, dude.
You have some of your favorites.
It's so hard to get through that sometimes.
Yeah, some of the favorite, definitely Second Wind, because as a warrior, the bane of your existence is being kited, being slowed. So being able to generate some rage and heal a little bit while that happens. That's really helpful. One of the abilities that you get that I really love is intervene. Gives you just so much ability to zip around. Somebody pulls aggro, you intervene onto them.
Intercept. It's like an intercept to a friendly target, right? That's
Yeah. You're getting burst in arena. You intervene, get behind a pillar, get safe. Pop spell reflection, another really great talent.
Huge spell reflect, huge. How badly do you wish you had it right now in Classic?
Well, I even now sometimes I'll like swap to defensive stance and hit my spell reflect macro because like when you're rooted in the Frost Nova, what do you do right now in Classic? You just eat it. If you don't have a way to like, if you don't have a FAP or some way to get out of it, like you're dead in the water.
You guys ever see that video? It's like the war.
You cut out for a second.
Warrior versus Mage. Do you guys ever see that meme where it's like Warrior versus Mage, and it's like the guy from Terminator just running at a mage?
Yeah, it's
just like trying to get to him. Just
I've seen that.
It's so good.
That is perfect. That is it. What about these talents though at the end, Dale? Are these like any good for you? Endless Rage, Rampage, and Devastate. How do you feel about the final juicy talents in each tree?
Yeah, for PvE DPS, Fury, you definitely have to pick up Rampage. It's pretty essential. I know originally in TBC, a lot of warriors actually wouldn't get Endless Rage. They would actually go down to Sweeping Strike to make it so that you would get, Mortal Strike and still have that Sweeping Strikes feel. It'll be interesting to see how it is late or like with this release. I think it might have got changed towards the end of the TBC patches to make Endless Rage better. And for PvE, I think you probably still want to have Endless Rage, but for PvP, you definitely want to have the Sweeping Strikes to cleave stuff, kill Warlock pets and things like that.